I sat across from my wife, Jennifer, in our favorite Italian restaurant. The soft glow of candlelight flickered between us, casting shadows on her face. It was supposed to be a night of celebration, our 10th wedding anniversary. Little did I know, it would become the night that shattered my world. Jennifer reached for her wine glass, her fingers trembling slightly. I noticed, but didn't say anything, thinking she might be nervous about some surprise she had planned. She took a deep breath, her eyes avoiding mine. "David," she began, her voice barely more than a whisper. "There's something I need to tell you." I felt a knot form in my stomach. "What is it, Jen?" She took another sip of wine, her eyes finally meeting mine. "I've been seeing someone else. It's been going on for a few months." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I stared at her, trying to process what she had just said. "Seeing someone else? Who?" Her lips trembled as she spoke the name. "Mark Thompson. He's a star player in the NFL." I blinked, my mind reeling. Mark Thompson? The quarterback for the New York Giants? The man whose face was plastered on every sports channel and magazine cover? "I'm sorry, David," she continued, her voice breaking. "It just happened, and I'm proud of it. Proud that someone like him would choose me." Her words burned. Proud? Was she proud of betraying me? My hands clenched into fists under the table, anger surging through me. "How could you?" I hissed, struggling to keep my voice down. "On our anniversary, no less?" Jennifer looked away, unable to meet my gaze. "I didn't want to hide it anymore. I needed to be honest with you." Honest. The word tasted bitter. I stared at her, feeling a mixture of rage, hurt, and disbelief. The woman I had loved and trusted for 10 years had just confessed to an affair with an NFL star, and she wasn't even ashamed. I pushed my chair back abruptly, the screech of wood against tile cutting through the ambient noise of the restaurant. "I need some air," I muttered, standing up and walking out into the cool night. Outside, I took deep breaths, trying to calm the storm inside me. My mind raced, replaying her words over and over. How could she do this to me? To us? As I stood there, a plan began to form in my mind. If she thought she could get away with this, she was sorely mistaken. Mark Thompson might be untouchable on the field, but off it, I would find a way to make them both pay. Revenge would be mine. The night air was crisp, biting at my skin as I paced outside the restaurant. My mind was a whirlwind of emotions, but amidst the chaos, one thought began to crystallize: revenge. Jennifer's betrayal couldn't go unanswered. I would make her and Mark Thompson regret the day they crossed me. I returned to our table, my expression cold and distant. Jennifer looked up at me, her eyes red from crying. I ignored the pang of pity that threatened to soften my resolve. "I need to go home," I said curtly. "We'll talk later." The ride home was silent, the tension between us palpable. I could see Jennifer stealing glances at me, but I kept my eyes on the road, my mind already working on my plan. I dropped her off at our house and drove to a nearby park, needing time to think. Sitting on a bench, I pulled out my phone and started researching Mark Thompson. The man was a public figure, so it wasn't hard to find information about him. I combed through articles, interviews, and social media posts, trying to learn everything I could about him. His strengths, his weaknesses, his schedule. Anything that could give me an edge. Over the next few days, I continued my investigation, playing the role of the oblivious husband at home while I gathered intel. I found out that Mark had a reputation for being a party animal, often seen at exclusive clubs and parties with his entourage. He was also known for his short temper and arrogance, traits I planned to exploit. I needed to hit him where it hurt the most: his image. As a high-profile athlete, Mark's career thrived on his reputation. Scandals and controversies could damage his brand, his endorsements, and ultimately, his career. The first step was to infiltrate his circle. I created a fake social media account, posing as a wealthy fan who admired him. I began interacting with his posts, commenting on his achievements, and gradually gaining his attention. It didn't take long before I received a direct message from one of his friends, inviting me to a private party. The party was my opportunity to get close to Mark and to learn his habits and vulnerabilities firsthand. I dressed the part, wearing an expensive suit and arriving in a rented luxury car. The venue was a lavish penthouse, filled with celebrities, models, and athletes. I scanned the room, spotting Mark surrounded by his usual entourage. I mingled with the crowd, making small talk and blending in. Eventually, I managed to strike up a conversation with Mark. He was charismatic and charming, but there was an air of arrogance about him that made my blood boil. I played along, laughing at his jokes and flattering his ego, all the while assessing his weaknesses. As the night went on, I noticed a pattern. Mark had a habit of drinking excessively and letting his guard down. He boasted about his conquests, including Jennifer, with no regard for discretion. My anger simmered, but I kept my composure. This was just the beginning. I left the party with a clearer picture of my target. Mark Thompson was not invincible. He was reckless and vulnerable. My plan was taking shape, and I knew exactly how to bring him down. Back home, I laid out my strategy. I would expose Mark's affair with Jennifer, not just to the public, but to his team and sponsors. I gathered evidence, screenshots of their conversations, and photos of them together. I reached out to a few trusted contacts in the media, hinting at a scandal involving a major NFL player. The stage was set. All I needed was the right moment to strike. Jennifer and Mark had no idea what was coming, but they would soon learn that betrayal had a price. The days following my decision to enact my revenge were a blur of calculated moves and careful planning. Jennifer continued to live in oblivion, unaware that every step she took was leading her and Mark Thompson closer to their downfall. I decided to use social media as my weapon. Creating fake accounts was easy. Maintaining them was the challenge. I had to build credible personas, ones that could gain access to exclusive circles. One account, posing as a high-profile publicist, was particularly successful. It allowed me to infiltrate Mark's social sphere more deeply. Mark's arrogance and recklessness were his weaknesses. He loved to flaunt his escapades, and I planned to use that against him. Through my fake publicist account, I began to circulate rumors of an imminent scandal involving Mark. I made sure these rumors reached his team's management and his sponsors. Next, I needed a decisive piece of evidence that would turn these rumors into undeniable facts. Jennifer's naivety played into my hands perfectly. She often left her phone unattended, trusting me implicitly. One evening, while she was in the shower, I seized the opportunity to access her phone. My hands trembled as I scrolled through her messages, but my resolve remained firm. The incriminating texts between her and Mark were worse than I had imagined. Explicit messages and intimate photos painted a clear picture of their affair. I transferred everything to my own device, ensuring I had all the ammunition I needed. With the evidence secured, I reached out to a few journalists I knew would be eager for a scoop. I sent them the messages and photos anonymously, framing it as a tip from a concerned insider. The media frenzy was almost immediate. Headlines blared about Mark Thompson's scandalous affair, complete with lurid details and damning evidence. The public backlash was swift. Mark's sponsors began distancing themselves, and his team issued a statement condemning his actions. The once untouchable star was now a pariah, his reputation in tatters. Jennifer, too, was caught in the crossfire. The media camped outside our house, hounding her for comments. But my revenge wasn't complete. I needed to confront them both, to see the look in their eyes when they realized who had orchestrated their downfall. I arranged a meeting with Mark, posing as the publicist who had befriended him. We met at a secluded bar, away from prying eyes. Mark arrived, looking haggard and angry. "What's this about?" he snapped, clearly on edge. I leaned back, savoring the moment. "It's about betrayal, Mark. Yours and Jennifer's." He blinked, confusion turning to realization. "David? What the hell are you doing here?" I smiled coldly. "I wanted to see your face when you realized it was me who brought you down." His expression darkened. "You think you can ruin me? I'm Mark Thompson." I leaned forward, my voice low and dangerous. "I already have. Your career, your reputation, it's all crumbling, and it's only going to get worse." Mark's eyes blazed with fury, but there was a flicker of fear behind them. "You won't get away with this." I stood up, feeling a surge of satisfaction. "I already have." As I walked out of the bar, leaving Mark to stew in his anger and fear, I felt a strange sense of calm. The betrayal had been avenged, and the playing field leveled. Jennifer and Mark had thought they were untouchable, but they had underestimated the power of a man wronged. Returning home, I found Jennifer sitting in the living room, surrounded by the remnants of our shattered life. She looked up as I entered, her eyes filled with tears. "David, what have you done?" I stared at her, my heart hardened. What needed to be done? Our marriage was beyond repair, but the closure I sought was finally within reach. Jennifer and Mark had played their game, and they had lost. As I turned to leave, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The past was behind me, and I was ready to face whatever came next. The days following the confrontation with Mark were chaotic. News of the scandal continued to dominate headlines, and both Jennifer and Mark found themselves under relentless scrutiny. I watched the fallout unfold with a mixture of satisfaction and detachment, knowing that my revenge was complete. Jennifer moved out of our house shortly after our confrontation. The once cozy home we shared felt cold and empty without her, but I welcomed the solitude. It gave me time to reflect on everything that had happened and plan my next steps. One afternoon, as I sat in my home office sorting through documents, my phone buzzed. It was a call from Richard, a mutual friend who worked in PR. I hesitated for a moment before answering. "David," Richard began, his tone serious. "We need to talk." I sighed, leaning back in my chair. "What's up, Richard?" He took a deep breath. "I know you orchestrated this whole thing. The anonymous tips, the media frenzy, it all points back to you." I remained silent, my mind racing. Richard was one of the few people who could connect the dots. "And what of it?" Richard's voice softened. "I understand why you did it, but you need to be careful. Mark's legal team is already looking into the source of the leaks. If they trace it back to you, it could get ugly." I frowned, my grip tightening on the phone. "Let them try. I've covered my tracks." Richard sighed. "Just be cautious. This isn't over yet." After hanging up, I felt a pang of unease. Richard's warning lingered in my mind, but I pushed it aside. I had come too far to back down now. If Mark and his team wanted a fight, I was ready. Meanwhile, Jennifer's life was unraveling. She had moved in with a friend, but the media's relentless pursuit made it impossible for her to find any peace. Her job was on the line, and her social circle had all but abandoned her. I knew she was suffering, but my anger overshadowed any lingering feelings of pity. One evening, as I was having dinner alone, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Jennifer standing there, looking haggard and defeated. "David, can we talk?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I hesitated but stepped aside to let her in. We sat in the living room, the silence between us heavy with unspoken words. "I'm sorry," Jennifer began, tears streaming down her face. "I never meant for any of this to happen. I was stupid and selfish, and I've lost everything." I looked at her, my emotions a tangled mess. "Why, Jennifer, why did you do it?" she sobbed, burying her face in her hands. "I don't know. I got caught up in the excitement, the attention. Mark made me feel special, and I was blinded by it. But it wasn't worth it. None of it was worth losing you." I felt a pang of sympathy, but it was overshadowed by the betrayal. "You hurt me, Jennifer. You shattered our life together." She nodded, her shoulders shaking. "I know, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. I just wanted to say I'm sorry and ask for your forgiveness." I took a deep breath, grappling with my emotions. "I don't know if I can forgive you, Jen, but I hope you can find a way to move on and learn from this." She nodded, wiping her tears. "Thank you, David. I'll leave you alone now." As she walked out of the door, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. Our chapter had come to a painful end, but it was time to move forward. In the weeks that followed, I focused on rebuilding my life. I reconnected with old friends, threw myself into work, and started therapy to process the trauma. The media frenzy eventually died down, and Mark's career continued to spiral. He was suspended by his team and several sponsors dropped him. The scandal had tarnished his image beyond repair. One day, as I was reading the news, I received a text from an unknown number. It was from Mark. "You won this round, but this isn't over." I stared at the message, feeling a flicker of unease. But then I deleted it, determined not to let his threats affect me. The past was behind me, and I was ready to face whatever came next. Life moved on, and so did I. Jennifer and Mark had played their game, and they had lost. As for me, I had come out stronger, ready to embrace the future with a clear mind and an unburdened heart. Months passed since the scandal erupted, and my life began to find a new rhythm. I immersed myself in work, taking on challenging projects that kept my mind occupied. I also reconnected with friends I had neglected over the years, rediscovering the joy of their company. One Friday evening, I found myself at a local bar with my best friend Mike. He had been a constant support through the ordeal, offering a listening ear and much-needed distractions. As we clinked glasses, Mike looked at me with a knowing smile. "You're looking better, man. Finally starting to see the old David again," he said. I smiled back, appreciating his words. "Thanks, Mike. It's been a rough ride, but I'm getting there." We chatted about work, sports, and everything in between. For the first time in months, I felt a genuine sense of happiness. As the night wore on, Mike's expression turned serious. "There's something I need to tell you," he began, his tone cautious. "I heard from a reliable source that Mark is planning something. He's not taking his downfall lightly." I sighed, feeling the weight of the past return. "What do you mean? Planning what?" Mike shrugged. "I'm not sure, but I've heard he's been talking to some sketchy people, trying to dig up dirt on you." I shook my head, a mix of frustration and determination coursing through me. Let him try. I have nothing to hide. Despite my words, I couldn't shake the unease that settled over me. Mark's threats had been empty so far, but I knew he was a man of considerable resources and a bruised ego. I needed to stay vigilant. As I left the bar, I made a mental note to tighten my defenses. I updated my online security, made sure my finances were in order, and contacted a lawyer just in case. I refused to let Mark's vendetta derail the progress I had made. Life continued, and I found solace in new hobbies. I joined a local hiking group, rediscovering my love for the outdoors. The physical exertion and breathtaking views were therapeutic, offering a sense of peace I hadn't felt in a long time. During one hike, I met Lisa, a woman with a bright smile and an infectious laugh. We struck up a conversation, finding common ground in our love for nature and adventure. As the weeks went by, our friendship blossomed into something more. One evening, as we sat by the fire pit in her backyard, Lisa turned to me, her eyes reflecting the flickering flames. "David, I know you've been through a lot, but I want you to know that I'm here for you, no matter what." Her words touched me deeply. I reached out, taking her hand in mine. "Thank you, Lisa. You've brought a lot of light into my life when I needed it most." As our relationship grew, so did my sense of stability. Lisa's support and understanding helped me heal wounds I hadn't realized were still raw. With her by my side, I felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Then one morning, I received a call from my lawyer. "David, we've got a situation. Mark Thompson has filed a defamation lawsuit against you." I sat down, feeling the weight of the news. "On what grounds?" "He's claiming that the leaked information was fabricated and that it caused irreparable damage to his career and reputation. He's seeking substantial damages." I listened as my lawyer outlined our defense strategy. We had solid evidence to counter Mark's claims, but I knew the lawsuit would be a drawn-out battle. Still, I was determined not to back down. The lawsuit garnered media attention, reigniting interest in the scandal. Reporters hounded me for statements, but I maintained my silence, focusing on preparing for the legal fight. Lisa stood by me, offering unwavering support. As the court date approached, I felt a mixture of anxiety and resolve. I had faced betrayal and orchestrated revenge. Now, I was ready to defend my actions and stand up to Mark's attempts to intimidate me. On the day of the trial, I walked into the courtroom with my head held high. Mark was there, flanked by his legal team, his expression a mask of determination. Our eyes met, and I saw the simmering anger in his gaze. The proceedings were tense, with both sides presenting their arguments and evidence. My lawyer was relentless, methodically dismantling Mark's claims and highlighting the authenticity of the leaked information. As the trial drew to a close, I felt a sense of vindication. The judge's decision would take time, but I was confident in the strength of our case. Mark had underestimated me once again, and this time I was ready for his retaliation. Leaving the courtroom, I took a deep breath, feeling a renewed sense of strength. The past was a tangled web of pain and betrayal, but I had emerged from it stronger and more resilient. With Lisa by my side and a clear path ahead, I was ready to embrace whatever the future held. The courtroom was silent as we awaited the judge's decision. The tension was palpable. and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. Mark sat across from me, his face a mixture of anger and desperation. He had thrown everything he had into this lawsuit, hoping to reclaim some semblance of his tarnished image. My lawyer Samantha leaned over and whispered, "Stay calm, David, we've got this." I nodded, trying to steady my nerves. The past few months had been a whirlwind of preparation and stress, but I knew we had presented a solid case. The truth was on our side, and I held on to that thought as the judge finally entered the room. After careful consideration of the evidence and testimonies presented, the judge began, her voice firm and authoritative. "It is clear that the information leaked was factual and not fabricated. The court finds in favor of the defendant, David Harrison. The defamation claims are dismissed." A wave of relief washed over me. I turned to Samantha, who gave me a reassuring smile. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs as people processed the verdict. Mark's face contorted with fury, his fists clenched in frustration. As we exited the courtroom, reporters swarmed, shouting questions and snapping photos. I maintained my composure, giving a brief statement. "Justice has been served. The truth has prevailed, and I hope this puts an end to this unfortunate chapter." Lisa was waiting outside, her face lighting up when she saw me. She threw her arms around me, and I held her tight, feeling a sense of closure and hope. "I knew you'd win," she whispered. The weeks following the trial were a time of reflection and rebuilding. The media gradually lost interest, moving on to other stories. Mark's career continued to spiral, his reputation irreparably damaged. He eventually retired from the NFL, a shadow of the star he once was. Jennifer reached out to me, seeking closure of her own. We met for coffee, and she looked at me with a mixture of regret and gratitude. "David, I'm truly sorry for everything. I've been going to therapy, trying to understand my actions and learn from them." I nodded, appreciating her efforts. "I'm glad to hear that, Jennifer. I've moved on, and I hope you can find peace and happiness as well." She smiled sadly. "Thank you. I wish you all the best." With the past firmly behind me, I focused on my future with Lisa. Our relationship grew stronger, built on trust, love, and mutual respect. We traveled together, exploring new places, and creating beautiful memories. One evening, as we watched the sunset from a cliff overlooking the ocean, Lisa turned to me, her eyes sparkling. "David, I've never been this happy. You've brought so much joy into my life." I took her hand, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. "And you've done the same for me, Lisa. I'm grateful every day that we found each other." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the water, I realized that my journey had come full circle. The betrayal and pain had led me to a place of healing and newfound love. The darkness of the past had given way to the light of the future. Life wasn't perfect, but it was real and filled with promise. I had faced my demons, fought for justice, and emerged stronger. With Lisa by my side, I was ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing that together, we could conquer anything. A year had passed since the trial, and life had settled into a rhythm of normalcy and contentment. The dark days of betrayal and revenge were behind me, and I found solace in the love and support of Lisa. Our bond had only deepened, and we spent our days planning our future and enjoying each other's company. One crisp autumn morning, as we strolled through a local farmer's market, Lisa tugged on my sleeve and pointed to a small booth selling handmade pottery. "Look at those mugs, David. They're beautiful." We approached the booth, and an elderly woman greeted us with a warm smile. "These are handcrafted by my granddaughter. She pours her heart into each piece." Lisa picked up a mug, her eyes shining. "I love them. Let's get a few for our place." Our place. The words filled me with a sense of joy and belonging. We had recently moved in together, and making our house a home was a labor of love. We purchased the mugs and continued our walk, the cool breeze carrying the scents of fresh produce and baked goods. Later that evening, as we sat on our porch sipping tea from our new mugs, Lisa turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "David, have you ever thought about starting over somewhere new?" I raised an eyebrow, curious. "What do you mean?" She looked out at the sunset, a dreamy look in her eyes. "I mean, moving to a different city, maybe even a different state, a fresh start, away from all the memories and reminders of the past." The idea intrigued me. While I had found peace in our current life, the thought of a new beginning in a new place was appealing. Where would you want to go? Lisa smiled, her excitement palpable. I've always loved the idea of living near the mountains, somewhere like Colorado or Montana. We could find a small town and build a new life together. I thought about it, picturing a cozy cabin nestled in the mountains, surrounded by nature's beauty. It was a stark contrast to the bustling city life I had known, but it felt right. Let's do it. Her eyes widened in surprise. Really? You mean it? I nodded, feeling a sense of adventure. Yes, really. Let's find a place that's ours, where we can create new memories and build a future together. Over the next few months, we researched different locations, visited potential new homes, and made plans for our move. The excitement of a new beginning filled our days, and we found a charming cabin in a small town in Colorado that felt like the perfect place to start our new life. The day we moved in was filled with laughter and anticipation. Our neighbors welcomed us warmly, and we quickly felt a sense of belonging in the close-knit community. The beauty of the mountains, the crisp air, and the serene surroundings were a balm for the soul. One evening, as we sat by the fireplace, Lisa turned to me with a contented smile. This is it, David, our fresh start. I'm so happy we took this leap. I wrapped my arm around her, pulling her close. Me too, Lisa. This is the beginning of something wonderful. Our days in Colorado were filled with new adventures. We hiked the scenic trails, discovered hidden waterfalls, and enjoyed the simple pleasures of small-town life. The scars of the past had faded, replaced by the vibrant colors of our present and future. One crisp winter morning, as snowflakes gently fell outside, Lisa handed me a small, beautifully wrapped box. I have something for you, she said, her eyes twinkling with anticipation. I opened the box to find a key inside, attached to a small wooden plaque that read, "Home is wherever I'm with you." Tears filled my eyes as I looked at her. Lisa, this is perfect, thank you. She took my hand, her smile radiant. I wanted to remind you that no matter where we go, as long as we're together, we're home. At that moment, I realized how far I had come. From the depths of betrayal and pain, I had found love, hope, and a new beginning. With Lisa by my side, I was ready to embrace all the adventures and challenges life had to offer. Our journey was just beginning, and I knew that together, we could face anything and create a beautiful future. The past was a distant memory, a chapter that had closed. As we stood together, watching the snow fall outside our cozy cabin, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Life had given me a second chance, and I was determined to make the most of it, hand in hand with the woman I loved. Winter in Colorado was both enchanting and demanding. The snow-covered landscape transformed our new town into a picturesque scene straight out of a postcard. Lisa and I spent our days exploring the winter wonderland, skiing, and cozying up by the fire with hot cocoa. Life was idyllic, and our bond grew stronger with each passing day. One brisk morning, as we prepared for a hike, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. It was a simple yet ominous text. You may have won the battle, but the war isn't over. My heart sank. Mark, despite his public disgrace and the court's ruling, he still sought to disrupt my life. I decided not to tell Lisa immediately, not wanting to spoil our day. Instead, I tucked my phone away and focused on the beauty around us. As we hiked up the snow-dusted trails, the air crisp and clean, Lisa noticed my distraction. Is everything okay, David? I forced a smile. Yeah, just a work thing. Nothing to worry about. She looked at me skeptically, but let it go, her laughter and light-hearted conversation gradually easing my tension. Days turned into weeks, and the unsettling message faded into the background as we continued to immerse ourselves in our new life. However, the peace was shattered when I received a call from Samantha, my lawyer. David, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Mark is pursuing legal action again. This time, it's personal defamation. He's claiming emotional distress and financial losses due to the initial scandal. I felt a wave of frustration and anger. Is he serious? We already went through this. The court ruled in our favor. Samantha sighed. He's persistent and well-funded. We need to prepare for another legal battle. I hung up, my mind racing. Lisa noticed my distress immediately. What's wrong? I couldn't hide it any longer. Mark is suing me again. He's claiming emotional distress and financial losses. Lisa's face fell, her worry mirroring mine. What are we going to do? I took her hands in mine. We're going to fight this. Together. We've come too far to let him tear us down. The next few months were a whirlwind of legal preparations and strategy meetings. Samantha was relentless in her efforts to build a strong defense, and Lisa stood by my side, offering unwavering support. Despite the stress, our relationship remained a source of strength and comfort. One evening, as we sat in our living room, I looked at Lisa and realized how much I depended on her. Lisa, I don't know how I'd get through this without you. She smiled, her eyes full of love. We're a team, David. We'll face this together. The day of the court hearing arrived, and we entered the courtroom with a mixture of anxiety and determination. Mark was there looking smug and confident. His legal team presented their case, painting a picture of a man whose life had been ruined by my actions. Samantha countered with compelling evidence, highlighting the truth and integrity of the original information. As the proceedings went on, it became clear that Mark's case was built on shaky ground. After several tense hours, the judge delivered the verdict. The court finds in favor of the defendant, David Harrison. The plaintiff's claims are unsubstantiated and lack credible evidence. A wave of relief washed over me. I turned to Lisa, who was beaming with pride. We did it, I whispered. Mark stormed out of the courtroom, his face a mask of fury. I knew this was likely the end of his attempts to undermine me. His resources were dwindling, and his credibility was in shambles. As we left the courthouse, I felt a renewed sense of hope. Lisa squeezed my hand, her smile radiant. This is truly behind us now, David. We can finally move forward without looking over our shoulders. The victory brought a sense of closure, but it also left me exhausted. Lisa suggested we take a trip to recharge, and we decided on a cozy cabin retreat in the Rockies. The trip was exactly what we needed, filled with laughter, relaxation, and the stunning beauty of the mountains. One evening, as we sat by the fire, I took Lisa's hand. You've been my rock through all of this. I can't imagine my life without you. She smiled, her eyes reflecting the firelight. And I can't imagine mine without you, David. We've faced so much together, and it's only made us stronger. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small box. Lisa's eyes widened as I opened it to reveal a delicate diamond ring. Lisa, will you marry me? Tears filled her eyes as she nodded. Yes, David, 1,000 times yes. We embraced the warmth of our love and the fire enveloping us. At that moment, I knew that despite all the challenges and pain, we had found something truly special. Our journey was just beginning, and I was excited to face whatever the future held, knowing that together, we could overcome anything. The months following our engagement were a whirlwind of joy and planning. Our small town in Colorado embraced us with open arms, and our friends and family shared in our excitement. We decided to have a simple, intimate wedding, reflecting our love for each other and the serene beauty of the mountains that had become our home. One crisp spring morning, as the wildflowers began to bloom, Lisa and I stood together in a meadow overlooking the Rockies. The sky was a brilliant blue, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of pine and wildflowers. Our closest friends and family gathered around us, their smiles and laughter adding to the magic of the day. As Lisa walked down the aisle, her eyes locked onto mine, I felt a surge of emotion. She looked breathtaking, her beauty and grace illuminated by the sunlight. When she reached me, we took each other's hands, ready to embark on this new chapter together. Our vows were heartfelt and sincere, a testament to the journey we had shared and the future we were building. Lisa, I began, my voice steady despite the lump in my throat. You are my rock, my partner, my best friend. Through every trial and triumph, you've stood by my side. I promise to love you, support you, and cherish you for all the days of our lives. Tears glistened in her eyes as she replied, David, you've shown me the true meaning of love and resilience. You've been my anchor in the storm and my joy in the sunshine. I vow to stand by you, to love you unconditionally, and to share in every adventure life brings us. With those words, we exchanged rings and sealed our promises with a kiss. Our friends and family erupted in cheers, and I felt a sense of completeness and happiness that I'd never known before. The reception was a joyous celebration. We danced under the stars, surrounded by twinkling lights and the laughter of our loved ones. The challenges of the past seemed like distant memories, overshadowed by the love and hope that filled our hearts. As the evening drew to a close, Lisa and I slipped away to a quiet spot overlooking the valley. The moon cast a soft glow over the landscape, and we stood in silence, savoring the moment. "We did it," Lisa whispered, her hand in mine. "We've created something beautiful." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "Yes, we have, and this is just the beginning." Our honeymoon was a dream come true. We traveled to a remote cabin in the mountains, where we spent our days hiking, exploring, and simply enjoying each other's company. The tranquility and beauty of our surroundings mirrored the peace and happiness we felt in our hearts. Returning home, we settled into a rhythm of married life, finding joy in the everyday moments. Lisa continued her work as a wildlife biologist, her passion for nature inspiring me daily. I took on new projects and challenges at work, feeling invigorated and motivated. One evening, as we cooked dinner together, Lisa turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "David, I've been thinking, what if we start a family?" The idea had crossed my mind, but hearing it from her filled me with excitement. "I'd love that, Lisa. There's nothing I want more than to build a life and a family with you." Our conversations about the future took on new dimensions, filled with dreams of children, family adventures, and a home filled with love and laughter. We knew it wouldn't always be easy, but we were ready to face it all together. A few months later, we received the joyous news that Lisa was pregnant. The anticipation of becoming parents added a new layer of happiness and excitement to our lives. We prepared the nursery, read parenting books, and talked endlessly about the kind of parents we wanted to be. As Lisa's due date approached, our friends and family rallied around us, their support a testament to the community we had built. The night our baby was born was a mix of anxiety, excitement, and overwhelming love. Holding our newborn daughter in my arms, I felt a sense of awe and gratitude. "She's perfect," I whispered, tears of joy streaming down my face. "Just like her mother." Lisa smiled, exhausted but radiant. "Welcome to the world, little one. You're so loved." We named her Grace, a fitting tribute to the journey we had traveled and the blessings we had found. Our home was filled with the sounds of laughter, baby giggles, and the occasional sleepless night. Despite the challenges of parenthood, we embraced every moment, knowing that together we could handle anything. As I stood on our porch one evening, watching the sunset with Grace in my arms, Lisa joined me, her hand resting on my shoulder. "We've come so far, David. I'm so grateful for everything we have." I looked at her, my heart full. "Me too, Lisa. We've built a beautiful life, and it's only going to get better." The future stretched out before us, bright and full of promise. With Lisa and Grace by my side, I felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. Our story was one of love, resilience, and new beginnings, and I knew that together we could conquer anything and create a legacy of love and happiness. The first year with Grace was a whirlwind of sleepless nights, diaper changes, and the pure joy of watching her grow. Lisa and I navigated the challenges of parenthood with laughter and love, each day a new adventure. Our bond deepened as we shared in the wonder of Grace's first steps, her first words, and the little milestones that filled our hearts with pride. One crisp autumn afternoon, as Grace napped peacefully in her crib, Lisa and I sat on the porch, enjoying the rare, quiet moment. The leaves had turned vibrant shades of red and gold, painting the landscape with the colors of fall. Lisa turned to me, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "David, I've been thinking," she began, her voice filled with anticipation. "What if we start a business together? Something that combines our passions and allows us to spend more time with Grace." I was intrigued. "What do you have in mind?" She smiled, her enthusiasm contagious. "You know how much I love nature and wildlife. What if we open a nature retreat, a place where people can escape the hustle and bustle of city life, connect with nature, and learn about the local wildlife? We could offer guided hikes, wildlife tours, and eco-friendly accommodations." The idea resonated with me immediately. "That sounds incredible, Lisa. I love it. We could create a place that reflects our values and passions and share that with others." We spent the next few weeks brainstorming and planning. Our vision took shape as we sketched out ideas, researched eco-friendly building materials, and visited potential locations. We decided on a beautiful piece of land near a pristine lake, surrounded by lush forests and breathtaking mountain views. Our project quickly gained momentum. We secured funding, hired a team of architects and builders who shared our vision, and began the process of turning our dream into reality. Balancing the demands of parenthood and our new business venture was challenging, but we supported each other every step of the way. One day, as we stood on the construction site, watching our vision come to life, Lisa squeezed my hand. "Can you believe this, David? We're actually doing it." I smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. "We are, and it's going to be amazing." Months of hard work and dedication paid off as our nature retreat neared completion. We named it Harmony Haven, a tribute to the balance and tranquility we hope to offer our guests. The retreat featured cozy cabins, a main lodge with a communal dining area, and miles of hiking trails that showcased the natural beauty of the area. The grand opening of Harmony Haven was a celebration of our dreams and determination. Friends, family, and members of the community joined us for the ribbon-cutting ceremony. As we welcomed our first guests, I felt a profound sense of pride and gratitude. Grace, now a curious and energetic toddler, explored the retreat with wide-eyed wonder. She was our little adventurer, always eager to discover new things. Watching her play in the meadow, surrounded by the beauty of nature, filled me with a sense of fulfillment I had never known. One evening, after a busy day of welcoming guests and leading a wildlife tour, Lisa and I sat by the lake, the moonlight reflecting off the water. Grace was fast asleep in the cabin, and the peaceful silence enveloped us. "This is everything I ever dreamed of, David," Lisa said softly, her head resting on my shoulder. "A life filled with love, purpose, and adventure." I wrapped my arm around her, feeling the same sense of contentment. "Me too, Lisa. We've built something truly special here, and it's only the beginning." As the seasons changed, Harmony Haven flourished. We hosted guests from all walks of life, each one leaving with a renewed sense of connection to nature and themselves. Our retreat became a sanctuary, a place of healing and inspiration. Lisa continued her work as a wildlife biologist, leading educational programs and conservation efforts. I took on the role of managing the retreat, ensuring that every guest experienced the warmth and hospitality that defined Harmony Haven. Together, we created a haven that reflected our love for nature and each other. Years passed and our family grew. Grace was joined by a little brother, Ethan, who brought even more joy and laughter into our lives. Watching our children grow up in such a beautiful, nurturing environment was a gift beyond measure. One summer evening, as we sat around a campfire with our children and a group of guests, I looked at Lisa, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Thank you for believing in this dream, Lisa, for believing in us." She smiled, her eyes shining with love. "Thank you, David, for being my partner in everything. This life we've built together is more than I ever imagined." As the fire crackled and the stars twinkled overhead, I knew that our journey was far from over. We had faced challenges, celebrated victories, and built a life filled with love and purpose. And with Lisa by my side, I was excited to see where the future would take us. Our story was one of resilience, love, and new beginnings. From the depths of betrayal to the heights of happiness, we had forged a path that was uniquely ours. And as I held Lisa's hand, surrounded by the beauty of our home and the love of our family, I knew that together we could conquer anything and create a legacy that would endure for generations. Life at Harmony Haven had settled into a beautiful routine. The retreat was thriving, our children were growing up in the midst of nature, and Lisa and I felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Yet, as with any journey, life had a way of introducing unexpected turns. One sunny afternoon, as I was guiding a group of guests on a wildlife tour, my phone buzzed with a call from Samantha, my lawyer and old friend. I excused myself and stepped aside to answer. "David, I've got some interesting news," Samantha began, her tone filled with excitement. "I've been approached by a television network. They're interested in creating a documentary series about Harmony Haven and your journey. They think it could be incredibly inspiring and educational." I was taken aback. "A documentary? About us?" "Exactly. They love the idea of showcasing the retreat, your conservation efforts, and the unique way you've integrated family life with your passions. It could be a great opportunity to spread your message and inspire others." I promised to discuss it with Lisa and get back to her. The idea was intriguing, but it also felt like a significant step out of our comfort zone. That evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, I shared Samantha's news with Lisa. "A documentary?" Lisa said, her eyes widening with surprise. I never thought about that. What do you think? I think it could be an amazing opportunity, I replied. But it's also a big commitment. We'd have cameras following us, sharing our story with the world. Lisa was thoughtful for a moment. It could help raise awareness about conservation and the importance of connecting with nature. And it might inspire other families to pursue their dreams. But we need to make sure it doesn't disrupt our lives too much, especially for Grace and Ethan. We decided to meet with the producers to learn more. A week later, Samantha arranged a video conference with the production team. They were enthusiastic and respectful, understanding our need for privacy and the integrity of our retreat. They envisioned a series that would highlight not only our personal journey, but also the beauty of the natural world and the importance of conservation. After several discussions and much deliberation, we agreed to move forward with the project. The production team arrived in the spring, bringing with them a sense of excitement and curiosity. They were professional and considerate, quickly blending into the backdrop of our daily lives. Filming began with interviews and capturing the essence of Harmony Haven. The cameras followed us on hikes, during wildlife tours, and in the quiet moments with our family. Grace and Ethan were natural on camera, their joy and wonder reflecting the spirit of the retreat. One day, as we were filming a segment about our conservation efforts, the producer, Emily, approached me. "David, your story is incredibly inspiring, but what truly stands out is the way you and Lisa have created a life that balances passion, purpose, and family. It's something many people aspire to, but don't know how to achieve." Her words resonated with me. We had indeed built something special, and sharing it with the world felt like a way to give back, to offer hope and inspiration to others. As the months passed, the documentary began to take shape. The production team captured the changing seasons, the wildlife that made Harmony Haven their home, and the heartfelt moments that defined our family. They also interviewed guests, who spoke about the transformative experience of staying at the retreat. One evening, after a long day of filming, Lisa and I sat by the lake, reflecting on the journey. "Can you believe how far we've come?" she said, her voice filled with wonder. "From the chaos of the past to this incredible opportunity to share our story." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. It's been an amazing journey, and it's all because we believed in each other and our dreams. The documentary premiered in the fall, and the response was overwhelming. Viewers were moved by our story, inspired by our commitment to conservation, and touched by the love that bound our family together. Harmony Haven saw a surge in interest, with people from all over the world wanting to experience the tranquility and beauty of our retreat. With the increased attention, we expanded our programs, offering workshops on sustainable living, conservation, and family bonding. Lisa's work as a wildlife biologist gained more recognition, leading to collaborations with other conservationists and organizations. One afternoon, as we prepared for a new group of guests, I received a call from Mark. It had been years since we last spoke, and his name on my phone screen brought a mix of emotions. I answered hesitantly. "David," Mark began, his voice surprisingly calm. "I saw the documentary. I just wanted to say, it's impressive what you've built. I'm sorry for everything I did in the past." I was stunned. "Thank you, Mark. That means a lot. I hope you're doing well." "I'm trying to rebuild," he admitted. "Your story gave me a lot to think about. Maybe it's time for me to find a new path, too." After the call, I felt a sense of closure. The wounds of the past had finally healed, and it seemed Mark was seeking redemption in his own way. As I joined Lisa and the kids by the campfire that evening, I felt a profound sense of peace. Our journey had been filled with unexpected challenges and opportunities, but through it all, we had stayed true to our values and dreams. Together, we had created a life that was rich with love, purpose, and adventure. Looking at my family, I knew that whatever the future held, we were ready to face it together. Our story was one of resilience, hope, and new beginnings, and as the stars twinkled overhead, I felt grateful for every moment that had brought us to this point. The documentary was not just a reflection of our past, but a testament to our future. And with Lisa, Grace, and Ethan by my side, I knew that the best was yet to come. The success of the documentary brought a new wave of attention to Harmony Haven. We were thrilled to see people from all over the world inspired by our story, eager to experience the beauty and tranquility of our retreat. However, with the increased interest came new challenges and opportunities that pushed us to expand and evolve. One morning, as Lisa and I sat on the porch sipping coffee, we discussed the future of Harmony Haven. The retreat was fully booked months in advance, and we were constantly receiving inquiries about additional programs and events. "David, we need to think about expanding," Lisa said thoughtfully. "We have the land and the vision. What if we build more cabins and create new experiences for our guests? We could even introduce wellness programs like yoga retreats and mindfulness workshops." I nodded, considering her words. "You're right. We have an opportunity to create something even more impactful. We've always wanted Harmony Haven to be a sanctuary for people to reconnect with nature and themselves. Expanding could help us reach more people." We began brainstorming and planning, envisioning a larger, more comprehensive retreat. We wanted to maintain the intimate, personal touch that defined Harmony Haven while offering new experiences that would enhance our guests' connection to nature and promote overall well-being. We brought on additional staff, including wellness experts, yoga instructors, and conservationists who shared our vision. Together, we designed new cabins that blended seamlessly with the natural landscape, ensuring they were eco-friendly and sustainable. We also developed a range of programs that included guided meditation, forest bathing, and workshops on sustainable living. As construction began, we found ourselves busier than ever. Balancing the expansion with our family life was challenging, but we made it a priority to spend quality time with Grace and Ethan. We involved them in the process, teaching them about sustainability and the importance of preserving nature. One sunny afternoon, as we walked through the woods with the kids, Grace asked, "Daddy, why are we building more cabins?" I smiled, kneeling to her level. "We want to share the beauty of this place with more people, sweetie. We're building more cabins so that others can come here and experience nature, just like we do." Ethan, still too young to fully understand, echoed his sister's curiosity with wide eyes. Lisa smiled, holding his hand. "And we want to teach them how to take care of the environment, just like we've taught you." As the expansion neared completion, we decided to host a grand reopening event to celebrate the new Harmony Haven. We invited our friends, family, and the community, as well as some of the guests who had been with us from the beginning. The event was a beautiful blend of gratitude and excitement for the future. The day of the grand reopening was perfect. The sky was clear, and the air was filled with the scent of pine and wildflowers. We had set up a large marquee with food and drinks, and the atmosphere was festive and joyful. As our guests arrived, we led them on tours of the new cabins and facilities. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and I felt a deep sense of pride in what we had accomplished. Lisa and I stood together, watching our vision come to life, surrounded by the people who had supported us along the way. That evening, we gathered around the campfire, sharing stories and laughter. Grace and Ethan played nearby, their giggles a reminder of the simple joys that had brought us to this point. As the stars began to twinkle overhead, I took a moment to reflect on our journey. "Lisa, we've built something incredible here," I said, my voice filled with emotion. "It's not just about the retreat. It's about the community we've created and the impact we're making." She nodded, her eyes shining with pride. "And it's just the beginning, David. There's so much more we can do. This place has become a beacon of hope and healing for so many people." The next day, as the last of our guests departed, we began our new chapter at Harmony Haven. The expanded retreat was a testament to our resilience, hard work, and unwavering belief in our vision. We continued to welcome guests from all walks of life, each one leaving with a renewed sense of connection and inspiration. Our wellness programs were particularly well received. Guests found solace in the mindfulness workshops, gained insights from sustainability seminars, and discovered inner peace through yoga and meditation. Lisa's conservation efforts garnered even more attention, leading to collaborations with environmental organizations and educational institutions. One evening, after a particularly fulfilling day, Lisa and I sat on the porch, reflecting on our journey. "David, can you believe how far we've come?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder. "From that first idea to now, it's been an incredible ride." I smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "It has been, and I wouldn't have it any other way. We've faced challenges, but we've also created something beautiful, and we've done it together." As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the retreat, I felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. Our journey was far from over, but we had built a solid foundation for the future. Harmony Haven had become more than just a retreat. It was a sanctuary of love, hope, and healing. With Lisa, Grace, and Ethan by my side, I knew we were ready to face whatever the future held. Our story was one of resilience, growth, and unwavering love. And as I held Lisa's hand, watching the stars appear in the night sky, I knew that together we could conquer anything and create a legacy that would endure for generations to come. Years passed, and Harmony Haven continued to thrive, becoming a beloved sanctuary for people seeking peace, healing, and a connection to nature. Our children, Grace and Ethan, grew up amidst the beauty of the retreat, embodying the values of compassion, sustainability, and love that Lisa and I had worked so hard to instill. As the years rolled on, our lives were filled with countless moments of joy and fulfillment. We celebrated milestones, from our children's achievements to the retreat's growing impact. Harmony Haven expanded its reach, partnering with schools and organizations to educate others about conservation and sustainable living. One summer evening, as we gathered around the campfire with friends and family, I couldn't help but feel a profound sense of gratitude. The fire crackled, casting a warm glow on the faces of those we loved. Grace, now a teenager, played her guitar, her sweet voice filling the night air. Ethan, full of youthful energy, roasted marshmallows and laughed with his friends. Lisa leaned against me, her head on my shoulder. "David, this is everything I ever dreamed of," she said softly. "Our family, our home, and the impact we've made. It's all so beautiful." I kissed her forehead, feeling the same sense of contentment. "It is, Lisa, and it's all because we believed in each other and our dreams." As the stars twinkled overhead, I thought about the journey that had brought us here. From the heartbreak and betrayal of the past to the creation of Harmony Haven, our lives had been a testament to resilience, love, and new beginnings. We had turned our pain into purpose and built a life that was rich with meaning and joy. In the following years, Lisa's conservation work gained international recognition. She traveled the world, sharing her knowledge and passion, while always returning home to Harmony Haven. I continued to manage the retreat, ensuring it remained a haven of peace and inspiration for all who visited. Our children, inspired by their upbringing, pursued their own dreams. Grace followed in Lisa's footsteps, studying environmental science and becoming an advocate for conservation. Ethan, with his love for adventure and storytelling, became a documentary filmmaker, capturing the beauty of the natural world and the stories of those dedicated to protecting it. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Grace joined us, her face alight with excitement. "Mom, Dad, I have some news," she said, her voice filled with anticipation. "I've been offered a position with a major conservation organization. They want me to lead a project to protect endangered species in South America." Lisa and I exchanged proud smiles. "That's incredible, Grace," Lisa said, hugging her. "We're so proud of you." Ethan, who had just returned from a filming expedition, joined us. "And I've been asked to document the project," he added, his eyes shining with excitement. "It's going to be an amazing adventure." As we celebrated their achievements, I felt a sense of fulfillment knowing that our legacy would continue through our children. They were carrying forward the values and passions that had shaped our lives, making their own mark on the world. One evening, many years later, as Lisa and I sat on the porch reflecting on our journey, she took my hand. "David, we've built a beautiful life," she said, her voice filled with emotion, "and we've done it together." I nodded, my heart full. "We have, Lisa, and it's been an incredible journey." As the sun set, casting a golden glow over Harmony Haven, I felt a deep sense of peace. Our story was one of resilience, love, and new beginnings. We had faced challenges, celebrated victories, and built a life that was rich with purpose and joy. With our children pursuing their own dreams and Harmony Haven continuing to inspire and heal, I knew that our legacy would endure. Our journey had been filled with unexpected twists and turns, but through it all, we had stayed true to our values and each other. As we watched the stars appear in the night sky, I held Lisa's hand, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. Our story was far from over, but we had built a solid foundation for the future. Together, we had created a legacy of love, hope, and healing that would endure for generations to come.